Good evening and welcome to News Night. I'm Amritpal Singh. Over the next 1 hour, we'll tell you what happened in the country today and around the world. The Prime Minister made an impassioned appeal to the farmers to leave the path of agitation. He accused the opposition party of misguiding the farmers. He assured the farmers that his government is ready to talk to the farmers on every issue. In fact, the Prime Minister, with humility, said, with folded hands and a bowed head, my government is ready to talk to the farmers on any apprehensions, on any fears that they might have. He said MSP is here to stay. MSP system will continue as it goes, as it does in the existing system or in the previous system, and the new farm laws are farmer friendly. They are in the interest of the farmer. He said all caution has been taken to protect the interests of the farmers. We look at that story, but first up, the headlines we're tracking at this hour. Prime Minister Narendra Modi addresses farmers at the in Raisen in Madhya Pradesh through video conferencing. Says his government is ready to discuss every issue with farmers. Assures MSP and APMCs will continue. Says farmers' interests are protected under contract farming law. Prime Minister takes on the opposition on the farmers' issue, says political parties should stop misguiding people, urges farmers to demand answers from those political parties who promised agricultural reforms in their manifestos and are now opposing them. Says new agriculture laws passed with detailed discussion with parties, experts, progressive farmers for long-demanded reforms. Politics heats up in West Bengal ahead of Home Minister Amit Shah's Bengal visit. String of resignations in the TMC. Another Trinamool Congress MLA, Shirbhadra Datta, resigns from all positions in the party. In his letter to the Chief Minister, urges that his resignation be accepted. Supreme Court issues notice to the West Bengal government on victimization of BJP cadres in the state. India and China hold the 20th meeting of the Working Mechanism for Consultation and Coordination on India-China Affairs, agree to work towards complete disengagement of troops in all friction points along the LAC in the western sector. India continues to fight against COVID-19. Recoveries continue to outnumber cases. Total recovered cases crosses 95 lakh. Recovery rate rises to 95.4%. India's fertility rate remains one of the lowest in the world. With the objective to create capacity ahead of demand by 2030, Indian Railways issues draft National Rail Plan. Vision 2024 launched for accelerated implementation of certain critical projects by 2024. North India continues to reel under cold wave. Fresh snowfall in the hills. Temperature rises slightly in Delhi and NCR, giving Delhiites some respite. The temperatures could further rise over the next 2 days. That's the good news for people residing in the National Capital Region. Cyclone Yasa weakens but leaves extensive damage in Fiji Islands. Winds with speeds up to 285 kilometers per hour leave a massive trail of destruction. Houses uprooted, farmlands wasted. And India in a commanding position on day 2 of the Adelaide day and night test match. Australia all out for 191 in the first innings. India takes a 62-run lead. Ashwin taps 4 wickets. So those were the headlines we were tracking at this hour, and now our top story. In a 55-minute long address to the farmers of Madhya Pradesh, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday reiterated his government's commitment to the welfare of farmers. The Prime Minister tried to explain how the new farm laws would make farmers' lives better. He said his government is ready to discuss every issue with the farmers with folded hands and a bowed head.
एमएसपी न बंद होगी न समाप्त होगी। देश के किसान के हित में उनकी चिंता का निराकरण करने के लिए हर मुद्दे पर बात करने के लिए तैयार हैं। देश के किसानों का हित हमारे लिए सर्वोच्च प्राथमिकताओं में से एक है।
Strongly defending the farm laws, Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Friday said his government is ready to discuss every issue and assuage concerns of the farmers. Virtually addressing Madhya Pradesh farmers through video conferencing, the Prime Minister said a lot of discussion about the new laws for farmers is happening in the country since last several days, but the opposition is trying to mislead the farmers by weaving a web of lies.
उनको पीड़ा इस बात से नहीं है कि कृषि कानूनों में सुधार क्यों हुआ। उनको तकलीफ इस बात में है कि जो काम हम कहते थे लेकिन कर नहीं पाते थे, वो मोदी ने कैसे किया, मोदी ने क्यों किया, मोदी को इसका क्रेडिट कैसे मिल जाए। मैं सभी राजनीतिक दलों को हाथ जोड़ के कहना चाहता हूं, आप सारा क्रेडिट अपने पास रख लीजिए।
PM Modi said agricultural reforms were discussed for over 2 decades by successive governments. He said the parties opposing the laws today promised these reforms in their manifestos.
सचमुच में तो देश के किसानों को उन लोगों से जवाब मांगना चाहिए जो पहले अपने घोषणा पत्र में इन सुधार करने की बात लिखते थे, वकालत करते थे और बड़ी बड़ी बातें करके किसानों के वोट बटोरते रहे, लेकिन अपने घोषणा पत्र में लिखे गए वादों को भी पूरा नहीं किया।
PM assured the farmers that MSP was here to stay. He said MSP will continue to be given as earlier.
ये हमारी सरकार एमएसपी को लेकर इतनी गंभीर है कि हर बार बुवाई से पहले एमएसपी की घोषणा करती है। अगर कानून लागू होने के बाद भी एमएसपी की घोषणा हुई, एमएसपी पर सरकारी खरीदी हुई, उन्हीं मंडियों में हुई, तो क्या कोई समझदार इस बात को स्वीकार करेगा कि एमएसपी बंद हो जाएगी? और इसलिए मैं कहता हूं, इससे बड़ा कोई झूठ नहीं हो सकता, इससे बड़ा कोई षड्यंत्र नहीं हो सकता। और इसलिए मैं देश के प्रत्येक किसान को ये विश्वास दिलाता हूं कि पहले जैसे एमएसपी दी जाती थी वैसे ही दी जाती रहेगी। एमएसपी न बंद होगी न समाप्त होगी।
PM said that fake information related to agricultural reforms is being spread about the APMCs or mandis. He said under the new law, APMCs will continue to function as it is. Only now the farmer has been given a choice whether he sells his produce in the mandi or outside it.
नए कानून में हमने सिर्फ इतना कहा है कि किसान अगर उसको फायदा नजर आता है तो पहले की तरह जाके मंडी में बेचे, और बाहर उसको फायदा होता है तो मंडी के बाहर जाने का उसको हक मिलना चाहिए, उसकी मर्जी को। क्या लोकतंत्र में मेरे किसान भाई को इतना हक नहीं हो सकता है?
The PM also tried to allay fears of farmers regarding contract farming, saying that in the farming agreement, the deal is regarding only crops or products and that the land remains with the farmer. He said the new law was pro-farmer and stringent conditions have been set for the corporate entities.
नए कानून में हमारी सरकार ने फार्मिंग एग्रीमेंट के दौरान किसान को सुरक्षा देने के लिए कानूनी प्रावधान किए हैं। हमने तय किया है कि फार्मिंग एग्रीमेंट में सबसे बड़ा हित अगर देखा जाएगा तो वो उस किसान का देखा जाएगा। हमने कानूनन तय किया है कि किसान से एग्रीमेंट करने वाला अपनी जिम्मेदारी से भाग नहीं पाएगा।
PM told the farmers that there is no reason for mistrust in the agricultural reforms, saying that government's top priority is to safeguard the interest of farmers. Bureau Report, DD India.
And even as the farmers' agitation against the new farm laws entered its 23rd consecutive day, various ministers from the union government are crisscrossing the country to spread awareness about the benefits of farm laws and dispel rumors spread by the opposition.
Nationwide agitation against farm laws entered its 23rd consecutive day on Friday. Amidst the standoff between the farmers and the centre, various ministers from the centre are crisscrossing the country to spread awareness about the benefits of farm laws and dispel rumours spread by the opposition. Union Minister Smriti Irani on Friday addressed a Kisan Sammelan in Meerut to explain the benefits of the new farm laws. The conference saw farmers in large attendance from Ghaziabad, Muzaffarnagar, Shamli and neighbouring Bagpat. Smriti Irani attacked the opposition parties over misleading farmers on farm laws. Launching a scathing attack on the opposition, she said Prime Minister has provided rupees 8 lakh crores in minimum support price system to farmers during his tenure as compared to rupees 3.5 lakh crores given by the UPA in 10 years of their regime.
देश के इतिहास में पहली बार एक ऐसा कानून आया जिस कानून में इंगित किया गया कि अगर किसान के साथ कोई कानूनी करार होता है तो जबरन ना किसान की जमीन बेची जा सकती है, ना किसान की जमीन जबरन खरीदी जा सकती है, ना किसान की जमीन जबरन गिरवी रखी जा सकती है। अगर जमीन किसान की संरक्षित की नरेंद्र मोदी ने, तो कांग्रेस पार्टी को और विपक्षी दलों को दुख क्यों होता है? बिल को लेकर अपनी राजनीतिक रोटियां सेकते हैं ये लोग। ऐसा क्या है इन बिलों में जिनसे आपत्ति है कांग्रेस और यूपीए दल के नेताओं को? किसानों के बीच में भ्रम फैलाया गया, एमएसपी का ऑपरेशन बंद हो जाएगा। आज बतलाना चाहती हूं आप जैसे भाइयों को, नरेंद्र मोदी ने अपने कार्यकाल में एमएसपी में पूरे देश के किसानों को 8 लाख करोड़ रुपया मुहैया कराया है।
Speaking exclusively to DD News, Union Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad lambasted opposition for rumour mongering and spreading lies on farm laws.
नीति आयोग की एक कमेटी बनी थी 2019 में देवेंद्र फडणवीस की अध्यक्षता में, संयोजकत्व में। उसके मेंबर से कौन कौन? अमरिंदर सिंह और कमलनाथ उस समय के मुख्यमंत्री थे। और क्या कहा सबों ने कि किसानों को नए अवसर होना चाहिए और मंडी के बाहर आना चाहिए, पूंजी निवेश आना चाहिए। तो जो काम आप कहते थे नहीं कर पाए वो हम कर रहे हैं क्योंकि यही किसानों के हित में है। 20 साल से एक प्रकार से इसमें सर्वसम्मति थी। तो सवाल यह है कि किसानों का हित या राजनीतिक दलों का राजनीतिक हित, टकराव इसी में हो रहा है।
Meanwhile, another faction of farmers from various parts of the country have declared support to the farm laws.
किसानों के हित की काम कर रही है और किसानों के जो है आगे जाने की जो है प्रेरणा बढ़ा रही है। इसके कई फायदे आएंगे, आने वाले हैं। अभी
पहले इतना सुविधा नहीं था, अब भाजपा सरकार में सारी सुविधा मिल रही है, उससे हम लोग का फायदा मिलता है। पूरा फायदा मिल रहा है, मिलेगा आने वाले दिन में।
खाद इसलिए मिल पा रहा है कि नीम कोटेड कर दिया इस सरकार ने। नीम कोटेड हो जाने से क्या हुआ कि और जो दूसरे खाद्य पदार्थों में उसका खपत होता था वो बिल्कुल बंद हो गया और उसके अलावा हम लोग को आराम से खाद मिल जा रहा है, सब कुछ मिल जा रहा है, बिजली मिल जा रहा है, सौर ऊर्जा का भी प्लांट कितना हम लोगों के लिए मिल जा रहा है।
Meanwhile, the farmer agitation continues at Delhi borders unabated. The stance by protesting farmers comes at a juncture when government is repeatedly reaching out to farmers for talks, not only to iron out issues but also seeking proposals for any amendments in the existing laws. With Anuj Yadav in Meerut and Shailendra Mishra in Delhi, News Night Desk, DD India.
And Union Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad also asserted that the new laws are pro-farmer. He gave examples of farmers who have benefited from these laws.
The benefits of the new farm reform laws are now percolating down to the small and marginal farmers in all parts of the nation. Take the case of farmer Om Prakash Yadav in Samastipur, Bihar, Om Prakash Yadav was getting a negligible return for his cauliflower produce. When the news spread about the pathetic price being offered, the people from Common Service Centre met OP Yadav on the directions of Union Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad. Now the farmer is reaping handsome profits for the same produce.
उन्होंने एक एग्रीकल्चर ऐप बनाया है, एक प्राइवेट इनोवेटर के साथ मिलकर करके। उसके माध्यम से आपको वो एग्रीकल्चर मार्केट से जोड़ देते हैं। तो समस्तीपुर के नौजवान की कहानी मुझे बताई गई कि उसकी गोभी बिक नहीं रही थी, तो अपनी गोभी पर वो ट्रैक्टर चला रहा था। तो मैंने कहा सीएससी जाओ, उसकी मदद करो। वो गए, उस ऐप से उनको दिल्ली के बाजार से जोड़ दिया, स्वयं दिल्ली के बाजार अपने ट्रक लेके पहुंच गए, उसकी 4000 किलो गोभी खरीद लिया, और जो 1 रुपये किलो में नहीं बिक रही थी उसको उन्होंने 10 रुपये प्रति किलो में खरीदा और 40,000 रुपया उसके बैंक अकाउंट में डिजिटली ट्रांसफर कर दिया। और समस्तीपुर की गोभी दिल्ली के व्यापारी ने खरीदा और इलाहाबाद में बिक गई। यही तो है डिजिटल इंडिया।
The vegetable was selling at a paltry 1 rupee per kg in the wholesale market and now is fetching OP Yadav 10 rupees per kg. A Delhi company bought the vegetable and sent it to Prayagraj market for further sale. The entire deal was done online. Now other cauliflower farmers are also willing to sell their produce the same way.
और केंद्रीय मंत्री रविशंकर बाबू जी तक जब इन्फॉर्म मिला तो तुरंत संज्ञान में लिए और सीधा हमसे संपर्क किए, और हमारा जो गोभी बचा हुआ था उसमें से 4 टन माल कल के डेट में खरीदारी वसुधा केंद्र के द्वारा करवाए और उचित मूल्य पर, और जो बचा है 5 टन के लिए चर्चा चल रही है, बातचीत चल रही है।
Ravi Shankar Prasad said that the new farm reform laws have given farmers many options.
टेक्नोलॉजी नए अवसर पैदा कर रही है और जो बाजार नए अवसर पैदा कर रहे हैं, तो किसानों को उसका लाभ मिलना चाहिए कि नहीं मिलना चाहिए, यही तो है बड़े सवाल। और ये कानून किसानों को बंधनों से मुक्त करता है, किसानों के उम्मीदों पर पंख लगाता है, और हमारा पूरा विश्वास है कि इस कानून के माध्यम से देश के किसानों की आमदनी दुगनी होगी।
Centre is trying its level best to allay any apprehension that the farming community has on the new farm laws and is reaching out to them about the potential benefits that will accrue to them in coming months and years as a result of these path-breaking reforms. With inputs from Bihar Bureau and Shailendra Mishra, News Night Desk, DD India.
So even as fears are being spread, apprehensions are there about the new farm laws. One of the big questions that weighs on the minds of the farmers, or the fear, is will the MSP stay, or the minimum support price? That's the price at which the government buys from the farmers. Will that stay? The Prime Minister reiterated that there will be no tinkering with that. It will exist, continue to exist as earlier, and the farmer will get the minimum support price. In fact, the governments have said that they've given more MSP than previous governments. Let's take a comparative look at the data as to what the reality on MSP really is. What we've tried to do here is we've tried to compare the MSP given under NDA and UPA governments. During the UPA government on wheat, 1400 rupees was the MSP. During the NDA government, it was risen to 1975 rupees. If we look at paddy, the MSP on paddy under the UPA government was 1310 rupees. The MSP was increased to 1870 or 1870 rupees during the NDA's term. If we look at jowar, 1520 rupees is what the farmer used to get. Now the farmer in the government procured system, the MSP is 2640 rupees. This is what the farmer gets for producing that. On lentils, or dal as it's commonly called, 2950 rupees was what the MSP MSP during UPA's rule was. During the NDA rule, it has been increased to 5,100 rupees. Presently, it is at 5,100 rupees. Grams, 3,100 rupees is what the farmer used to get. Now he gets 5,100 rupees during the NDA regime. On tur lentil or tur dal, the farmer used to get 4,300 rupees. Now he gets 6,000 rupees. This is the MSP which the government gives on government procurement. On moong dal, 4,500 rupees was the MSP earlier during the UPA government. During the NDA government, it is 7,200 rupees. That's what it has been increased to. If we compare the data, the government procurement under UPA and NDA, lentil under the UPA 1.5 lakh was lakh metric tons was procured. 112 metric tons was procured during the NDA regime. 3.75 lakh metric tons of oil seeds were procured. 56 lakh metric ton was procured during the NDA. You can compare these figures. We are trying to put out these data so that you can compare for yourself. Paddy, 1,700 lakh metric ton was procured by the government agencies, and in the UPA rule 3,000 lakh metric ton has been procured under the NDA rule. Now this is for paddy. If we look at the total amount paid to farmers for their crop under UPA and NDA, that means the total amount on the MSCP increase, the total procurement. So it comes down for wheat and paddy, it was 3,74,000 crore rupees were paid to the farmers in the UPA regime. It has now, the NDA government has paid 8 lakh crores on that. That means the total procurement and multiplied by the MSP. On lentils, 650 crore was what was paid to the farmers. 50,000 crore is what the government procured. Worth 50,000 crore is what the government procured in the NDA under the NDA rule. Well, now what really is the truth about contract farming? Well, farmers will have less risk now under the new laws. Their security becomes more because provisions have been made to safeguard their interests. The investors cannot evade responsibility. The Prime Minister very clearly clarified today there is only an agreement on crops or produce, not on the ownership of the land. That means, say, if a big corporate comes, he can't take your land away. The contract relates only to the crop and the produce. Land remains with the farmer. Agreement has nothing to do with the land. He cannot, if the farmer does not live by the contract rules, he cannot acquire the land. He cannot own the land. If profit increases at a later stage, if you agree today that we'll buy at this rate, but tomorrow if the markets improve, the farmer too gets a share in that. That means the contract gets revised. But if it comes down, the farmer doesn't have to, the price agreed is the price paid. In wake of natural disaster, farmers get full compensation under the new laws. Only the farmer has the right to end the agreement. Both parties, the corporate or the other contract party, cannot end the agreement. The farmer can, if he feels that conditions are not being followed by the corporate. So this is what really is the truth about contract farming. If the investor breaks the agreement, fine will be imposed. That is to say, if the farmer breaks the agreement, no fine is imposed on the farmer. But if the investor breaks the agreement, there is a fine, the provision of a fine being imposed on the corporate or the investor. So that really is what the truth about contract farming law, on which there are many apprehensions. And now let's take a look at what our in focus for tonight is. Our in focus for tonight is PM assures farmers on continuation of MSP. So the Prime Minister assures the farmers on continuation of the minimum support price. And to discuss on that, I have a panel of experts with me. Joining me on the show tonight is Dr. Ashok Dalwal. He's the chairman of the Committee on Doubling of Farmers' Income, and also Praful Ketkar, the editor of the Organizer magazine. Both gentlemen, many thanks for being on the show. I have with me Dr. Ashok Dalwai. I'm sorry. Dr. Ashok Dalwai, first to you. What do you make of the Prime Minister's assurance today? Once again, the government has been continuously saying that the new farm laws do not tinker with the MSP. The MSP system continues. The APMCs, or the mandis as they are known as, they continue. The government procurement will be there from the mandis at the rates the MSP, the union government fixes as MSP. So what do you make of this assurance today?
Thank you very much. As you rightly said, no less than the Honorable Prime Minister himself has assured the farming community of this country that there is absolutely no need for them to apprehend any compromise with the minimum support price system adopted in this country. He has not only just said that, but if you look at various events that have evolved over the last few years, one will be guaranteed that MSP is here to stay. The figures that you yourself gave out show very clearly that over the last 6 years, not only has there been a progressive rise in the MSP for all the 23 notified commodities, but simultaneously there has also been an increase in the percentage of procurement and the quantum of procurement. Now let me substantiate the government's commitment by referring to the new tool of procurement that government adopted in 2018, which is called as PM Asha. As we all are aware, though the system of MSP and procurement has been in operation since 1965, it is mostly the paddy and wheat farmers, particularly of the Indo-Gangetic belt, who have benefited from that. And that's how everybody keeps quoting that only 6% of the farmers are benefiting from MSP in this country. But since the adoption of PM Asha, which refers to procurement of pulses, oilseeds and millets, which also constitute a major component of the crop cafeteria, 4 new tools were brought under this. One is what is called as a price stabilization fund. Second one is called the price support scheme. The third one is called the price deficiency payment system. And fourth one is allowing even the private sector to procure at the MSP. At the MSP, let me make it clear. Now, when these 4 tools, along with the procurement of paddy and wheat by FCIs, continued by a cabinet decision, it went on to broad-base the procurement across the geography of this country, across the crop cafeteria. And we have now seen that the percentage of farmers benefiting from procurement has gone up substantially since the adoption of PM Asha. Under PM Asha, both pulses and oilseeds have come to be procured more robustly.
Okay.
And approximately around 20% of the production of pulses is being procured. Approximately 8 to 11% of the production of oilseeds is being procured. And when we talk about procurement, it only means that it goes on to stabilize the prices in the market. As the procurement policies goes, if the prices fall below MSP in the markets on account of price discovery inefficiency, then the government chips in. So government has very honestly been intervening whenever the prices have fallen in case of these 3. And simultaneously, even in case of perishables like fruits and vegetables, whenever there has been a request from government under the market intervention scheme, government has always supported the state government.
All right.
And the second one, I must say, for the first time, as per the recommendation of the National Farmers Commission led by Dr. Swaminathan, where he recommended that minimum 50% of the cost of production must be added as a margin of profit. The government adopted a new MSP policy in 2018, and on the cost of production today, a minimum of 50% is added as margin of profit. However, crops like wheat, for example, enjoy 106% profit, then paddy enjoys 96%, millets have been enjoying nearly 70 to 80%. So every single notified commodity has seen a leap forward in the MSP. So I would, and as the Honorable Prime Minister himself said, even after the new 3 laws were adopted by the Parliament, the MSP, new MSP for the current year was notified as usual. The procurement as usual by the FCI and other agencies across the country. So I think there's absolutely no need to apprehend anything by the farming community or anybody else in the country.
Okay.
And I would like to conclude by saying, if the Honorable Prime Minister himself has made that appeal, a humble appeal to the community of the farmers, I think they should believe him, and they should also go by the evidence that I substantiated, and that it shall cut for all times. Thank you.
In fact, the Prime Minister was very humble today, while putting out this appeal. He said, with folded hands, with a bowed head, I come to you, we'll talk to you on every issue, on every apprehension that you may have. My government will address each and every issue. Praful Ketkar, let me bring you in. The Prime Minister says the MSP is here to stay, the mandis are here to stay, but farmers have these apprehensions. The big question farmers ask is that if the MSP is here to stay, then why doesn't the government put that in the law? What is the reluctance? I would like to understand from you, why is there reluctance on the part of the government to add that as part of a law?
Amritpal, thank you for having me here. See, we have to be very clear that MSP has always been an administrative process and not a legislative process. It was never part of the law. It was always part of the, please try and understand 2 things. One, MSP is declared every year. Many produce are added or new things are adopted. Every time you can't amend the law. Secondly, agriculture is a subject from concurrent list. So on the one hand, you are always talking about the federal structure, but while understanding the fact that agriculture is both center and state subject, conveniently you want to make it in a law. So this is a dichotomy. Even Swaminathan Commission, which every time referred to while talking about farmers' demand, never talked about giving MSP as a law. What it talked about is the 50% assurance for the farmers above its as a investment, so that the farmer has more money to reinvest in agricultural activity. So it was more about, but at the same time, Swaminathan Commission talks about the liberalizing, giving more options, having more mandis, having more, private players coming. Fragmentation of the land should be stopped so that there has to be some kind of collective formations as far as, agriculture activity is concerned. So you want Swaminathan Commission report selectively implemented, not in totality. That is a problem. First time this government has, what it has tried to do is, collectively it has provided with the options for farmers, not just if he is getting anything above ASP, he is free to go. If he is getting anything above the prices that are given in the mandi, he is free to go anywhere. If he wants to form some alliance with other farmers and have a tie-up in terms of contract farming, and contract farming has been there, and Punjab has been the highest number of contract farming for last few years. But somehow, this fear is created, and what I would like to emphasize in terms of PM's address today is the kind of political messaging he has done.
Okay.
I tell you, today's address is going to be a game changer, and the people who are misguiding farmers, they will have to think about their strategy twice. One, Prime Minister has clearly told that these laws are not going
Praful,
to be rolled back.
I want to discuss the politics of it, the politics behind it, but I'll come to that later. I want to first address the issue that is at least, I mean, the farmers are raising. Dr. Dalwai, let me bring you in. If the Prime Minister says the government has been consistently saying there is MSP is here to stay, the mandi system is here to stay. We are only creating a parallel system. If it gives you more, if it gives you better price for your produce outside the mandi, please go and sell there. Otherwise, mandis anywhere there, government procurement will be there. It is also true that the government cannot be the only agency to buy. You have to liberalize. In the long run, the farmer will benefit from it. You will have private players coming in, building in storage facilities. The farmer will be allowed to go and sell wherever he gets a better price, or whoever gives him a better price here, he is bound to go to that particular mandi, his designated particular mandi. He cannot even cross the border of his own district or taluka, but here he can sell anywhere if he gets a better price for his yield in another part of the country. All said and on paper it seems very fine. Why then is the farmer protesting? Why is the farmer saying that no, we have these apprehensions that our land will go away in the long term, MSP will go away, you create a parallel structure, the mandi system will get threatened? Why are these apprehensions on the part of the farmer?
Probably there is need for greater communication with the farmers.
Okay.
What we should be really looking at is that any change there is a resistance, any change is apprehended, not just by the farming community, in any economic domain, not just in India, but across the world. The new set of reforms that government has initiated is representative of a positive disruption. A cozy comfort that existed to the disadvantage of the farmers is now being questioned. And we should look at the 3 new acts as a continuum of the reforms that were initiated previously. I would say that absolutely no need for apprehension over the APMCs.
Okay.
The simple reason that there have been 2 major changes that government has introduced with respect to APMCs. First one was on April 14, 2016, when Electronic National Agriculture Market Platform was introduced to connect one APMC with another APMC so as to increase the number of procurers, traders quoting for the farmers' produce.
Okay.
And by now, out of 2,700, 1,000 APMCs across the countries have been brought on board. In addition, there are nearly 200 markets on board in Karnataka state on another platform.
Okay.
Second important reform was to introduce what is called a Model APLMC Act, Agriculture Produce and Livestock Marketing Act. This was a far greater improvement over the Model APMC Act of 2003.
Okay.
Here, once again, a lot of reforms have been brought in to bring in objectivity and transparency.
All right. So you're saying basically
APMCs will stay.
Okay.
The second point I want to make is that this new set of reform, the FPTC, is an alternate channel to the APMC system.
Okay.
So that we do not have cartelization, we do not have monopoly of a single system.
Right.
And just as we have seen in the telecom sector or the air sector, more than one player is always to the advantage of the consumers. So I'm sure here too, 2 alternate channels will give
you more options. All right. Point well taken, Dr. Dalwai. So you're basically arguing that it is a reluctance to change, and that is why we see this sort of agitation. Yes, there have been reluctances to change. We've seen that's how the democratic process moves, but perhaps there is a better need. There is a need for even further communication. Praful Ketkar, I want to come back to the politics. The Prime Minister raised a very valid point when he said today that people or the farmers should ask the Congress that these changes that you seek to oppose today are the very changes you promised in your manifesto. So there is a double speak by the political parties who are opposing that. So is that adding to the confusion, and can't people see through it?
See, actually this confusion started right in the parliament. when opposition, instead of debating the bills, opted for attacking the deputy chairman of Rajya Sabha and then boycotting the proceedings. There this confusion started, and some elements from Punjab picked up from there, and it gave some kind of air to this agitation and to some extent even confusion. Please try and understand, as Dr. Dalwai was saying about, because this is an example where which at least farming community can easily understand. In telecommunication, we earlier had only the government given BSNL. Now we knew that in a village, either a sarpanch or at a some reputed person used to have only one connection. Even if you want to buy, after paying the deposit, you would have to wait for months together, sometimes even years together, to get a connection. Now new connections, new players have come. Does that mean the government, owned companies are gone? No, they are there. But you have got the better price, better, and we are giving now the best services at the cheapest price in telecommunication sector. Now compare this with the, farming thing. Farmers, nobody can deny that in last 70 years, with this kind of policies, the socialist mindset, though we have achieved the food security, the farmer's situation hasn't changed. Because there has been fragmentation, there has been exploitation, there is no security. Here, Prime Minister took the opportunity to communicate with his core, because he is a master communicator and he knows how to convey the message.
Okay.
He used this opportunity to, convey about urea, neem-coated urea, about the insurance scheme, about the Kisan Samman Nidhi, every soil health card, every step that his government has taken, he has communicated successfully. Secondly, not just about Congress, Aam Aadmi Party, Bharatiya Kisan Union, Shetkari Sangatna, everybody talked about these reforms, some or the other point. Now they are, taking a U-turn just to, see
for their own political benefits.
Joining the bandwagon.
Okay.
And thirdly, I feel that the Prime Minister has used this opportunity to rather create a new kind of space for dialogue. As far as I know, 25th, again, he is going to speak to the farmers all over. So the message is clear. Laws are not going to be rolled back. Communication channels are open from the government side. Now the adamant unions and some middlemen or political leadership, they will have to think about their strategies.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have for Dr. Ashok Dalwai, Praful Ketkar. Many thanks, both of you, for joining me on the show and lending us your insights. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And farming in arid regions requires both ingenuity and strong determination. Dragon fruit farming in the Kutch region of Gujarat has transformed the fortunes of farmers, something that the Prime Minister has praised. With the help of government-subsidized drip irrigation, this succulent cactus fruit is adding to the success of Atmanirbhar Bharat. My colleague Mark Lynn reports.
Hidden away in the arid wilderness of the Kutch region of Gujarat are many success stories of dryland farming. Meet Harilal, a progressive farmer, who until 2 years ago ran a successful construction contract business. But now he and his family run this dragon fruit farm near Gandhidham in Gujarat. He prefers to call it Kamalam, since dragon is linked to China. The fruit, which is from the cactus family, has adapted well to the arid region. There's something about the region's soil that makes this fruit even tastier. One can say it's the sweetness of Atmanirbhar Bharat.
इरिगेशन तो पूरा मैंने ये सब्सिडी में ही आया है, पर एकड़ कुछ 20-25 हज़ार जैसा लगा है खर्चा मेरे को, बाकी सब सब्सिडी में आया है। पानी कम चाहिए, अपने ये ड्रिप से ही पानी मिलेगा उसको, यहाँ से ही पानी मिलेगा, और ये पूरा देसी खाद डाला हुआ है और कुछ नहीं डाला इसमें, नहीं कोई फर्टिलाइजर है, ओनली ये अपना ये देसी खाद ही, और पूरा फ्रूट ऑर्गेनिक ही है। चपोल के चारों तरफ एक एक प्लांट लगाया हुआ है और वो सपोर्ट लेते लेते यहाँ तक आ जाएगा।
With a good irrigation system in place, thanks to support from the government, and a unique system of support to each plant, In the 2 years he has been running this farm, Harilal has already seen his crop increase from 5 kgs per plant to 12 kgs per plant.
एकड़ में आएगा ऐसे 550 पौल आएंगे पर एकड़ में जी, और 2200 जैसे प्लांट लगेंगे उसमें.
The kamalam is rich in antioxidants, vitamin C, iron and magnesium. It is best eaten in the morning and has several health benefits that accrue through the day. And the red fruit that grows in India is vastly superior in quality to the white-fleshed fruit that comes from China and Vietnam. There is a growing demand for kamalam across the world. The fruit sells quite easily at between 200 to 300 rupees per kg and is very popular across the world, a largely under-tapped market for the Indian farmers.
तो 2-3 कंट्री से भी कॉल आ गया कि भाई हमको ये फ्रूट चाहिए. इटली है, अब मस्कत से आया.
तो गल्फ कंट्री
हाँ जी, गल्फ कंट्री पूरी इसमें अपने फ्रूट में इंटरेस्टेड है.
Harilal invested around 4 lakh rupees per acre on his 4-acre farm and made up the investment in the first year itself. The second year, his crop more than doubled, adding to his profits. Prime Minister Narendra Modi had praised the farmers of Kutch for the cultivation of dragon fruit, which was largely imported in the past. Now India is not only self-reliant but is poised to be a major producer of the exotic cactus fruit with innumerable health benefits.
Pitaya, kamalam, also called dragon fruit, has been imported largely from China. And, well, of course, now that it's been grown here in the Kutch region and it's adapted really well to the Kutch region. In fact, these fruits here from the Kutch region are perhaps the tastiest. And we will definitely not be importing from China, but we will start exporting to countries like Italy and the Gulf. With cameraman Rajesh Rikhi, this is Mark Lin, DD News, Gandhidham, Kutch.
And the Supreme Court on Friday protected 5 BJP leaders, including Arjun Singh and Mukul Roy, from any coercive steps to be taken by the West Bengal police in FIRs registered against them, which are pending investigation. They had pleaded before the Apex Court that 64 criminal cases are lodged against Arjun Singh in 2019 after he left the Trinamool Congress to join the BJP. More in this report.
BJP leaders who were facing tyranny of TMC rule in West Bengal have got respite from the Supreme Court. The Apex Court granted interim protection to 5 BJP leaders, including Mukul Roy and MPs Kailash Vijayvargiya and Arjun Singh, in criminal cases lodged against them in their state, and directed the state police not to take any coercive action. The leaders demanded quashing of cases and free and fair probe in the case. They alleged fostering of criminal cases to deter them from the political activities in the state. Mukul Rohtgi, appearing for the petitioner Arjun Singh, said that 64 criminal cases have been filed against the BJP leader in 2019 after he left TMC to join BJP.
Arjun Singh, Kailash Vijayvargiya.
Ever since Arjun and I joined BJP, 55 cases were slapped against me and over 65 against him. Arjun's son too has been charged with false cases. It has become a regular affair of the Trinamool Congress to file false cases. We welcome the Supreme Court's order. We know the truth will prevail.
Meanwhile, TMC continues to suffer setback as top leaders are quitting the party every day. 2 days after Shubhendu Adhikari and Jitendra Tiwari left TMC, senior party leader Shail Bhadra Dutt also wrote a letter to Mamata Banerjee and announced his resignation from the party. Amid all these developments, Minority Cell General Secretary Kabirul Islam has also announced his resignation from TMC. Some of these leaders are expected to join BJP soon. However, a controversy has erupted on the resignation of Shubhendu Adhikari. The Speaker of the Assembly has raised questions and asked him to appear before him.
I cannot accept the resignation tendered by Shubhendu Adhikari MLA until and unless he confirms that his resignation is voluntary and genuine. According to Shubhendu Adhikari MLA, be asked to appear before me personally in my chamber at Assembly House, Kolkata on 21st December 2020 at 2 p.m. to make his submission in the matter as it deems fit.
Amid political tussle, activists of Trinamool Congress have begun violent protests across the state. Party supporters staged protests and shouted slogan against rebels in Asansol. BJP is leaving no stone unturned to establish its presence in West Bengal. Senior party leader and Home Minister Amit Shah will attend several public functions on Saturday and Sunday. During his visit, he will also attend the road shows and rallies. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
And the Met Office has issued an orange alert for Saturday, warning of cold wave and ground frost conditions in Delhi, Haryana and Punjab. But after Saturday, there will be relief for the people from the bone-chilling cold as the western disturbance reduces and snowfall in the Himalayan regions comes down to normal levels.
The people of Delhi and northern plains have been experiencing cold wave conditions for the past few days, with temperatures in Delhi going 7 degrees below normal on Thursday. According to the National Weather Forecasting Centre of the India Meteorological Department, 2 western disturbances were responsible for this phenomenon. The western disturbances induced cyclonic circulations in quick succession and caused fairly widespread to widespread rainfall, snowfall over western Himalayan region and isolated rainfall activity over adjoining plains during the past few days, which resulted in mercury plummeting down several notches in northern plains.
You see, in the winter season, these are the spells when the temperature falls sometime below 4 degree or departure from normal is 4-5 degree below. Then the cold wave or cold day accordingly is declared. And these occurs when western disturbance affected the northwest India as well as the plains of northwest India.
Delhi and adjoining areas continued to reel under cold conditions on Friday also. According to the IMD Observatory in Safdarjung, New Delhi, the city recorded minimum temperature of 4.4 degrees Celsius, which is 3 degrees below normal, while the maximum temperature was 19.8 degrees Celsius, which was again 3 degrees below normal on Saturday. This is higher than the temperatures recorded on Friday, where the maximum temperature was 7 degrees below normal. The trend is expected to continue in coming days and some relief is expected for the people. The Met Department has released an orange alert warning for Saturday as cold wave conditions will persist in Delhi, Haryana and Punjab, but the situation will improve thereafter. While western disturbance will continue to lose momentum till 23rd December, its absence afterwards will result in near normal rain and snow over western Himalayan region. Therefore, cold day to severe cold day conditions would occur in some to many pockets over Punjab, Haryana, Chandigarh and Delhi, North Rajasthan and Northwest Uttar Pradesh during next 2 days and abate thereafter.
Under influence, that cold spell has affected Delhi NCR and Northwest India from 15 to 18. And since the effect is going to reduce, the temperature will rise and tomorrow onwards, next 3-4 days, comfortable weather will be there, comfortable temperature will be there. When next western disturbance will come, then again effect will be there and temperature will fall.
After December 24th, there would be slight rise in minimum temperatures. The northern plains will again feel the chill when a fresh wave of western disturbance hit the Himalayan region in future. But as said earlier, this winter is going to be more harsh, so the precautions are required to be observed by one and all. Newsnight Desk, DD India.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi will deliver the keynote address at ASSOCHAM Foundation Week 2020 on December 19th via video conferencing. Prime Minister will also present the ASSOCHAM Enterprise of the Century Award to Ratan Tata, who will receive the award on behalf of Tata Group. ASSOCHAM was established in 1920 by the promoter chambers representing all regions of India. Union Minister of State for Culture and Tourism Prahlad Singh Patel attended an event to mark the completion of a conservation effort led by the Archaeological Survey of India at Rahim's Mausoleum in New Delhi. The effort took about 6 years to complete and also hosts an exhibition depicting the life and works of Abdur Rahim Khan-e-Khanan.
Union Minister for Tourism and Culture Prahlad Singh Patel presided the ceremony to mark the completion of a 6-year-old conservation effort at Rahim's Mausoleum. The structure has immense historical and architectural heritage but stood in a ruinous condition with risk of collapse. But in 2014, the Aga Khan Trust for Culture, with the support of Archaeological Survey of India, commenced a 6-year conservation effort, becoming the largest conservation effort ever undertaken at any single monument of national importance.
आने वाली पीढ़ी को ये पता होना चाहिए कि वास्तव में टाइमलाइन की दृष्टि से लोगों ने क्या-क्या गतिविधियां की हैं। और रहीम का जो व्यक्तित्व था, एक भक्त के रूप में, एक कवि के रूप में, एक योद्धा के रूप में, वो भी आने वाले जनरेशन के सामने आना चाहिए। हम पहले से भी कल्चर मिनिस्ट्री इस बात को प्रोत्साहित करती रही है। एएसआई के हमारे मॉन्यूमेंट्स में अगर कोई सीएसआर के साथ हमारे एएसआई के पैमाने पर या उनके पैरामीटर्स पर कोई मदद करता है तो हम उसको स्वीकार भी करते हैं।
Along with inaugurating a permanent exhibition and illumination at the monument, Union Minister Prahlad Singh Patel also felicitated the workers and carvers who were the backbone of the entire effort, which took 1,75,000 man-days of work, and is the first ever privately undertaken conservation effort under corporate social responsibility. Overall, the effort achieves the remarkable feat of creating restoration marvels and restoring the legacy of intangible heritage. Meghna Dev's report, DD India.
Well, let's talk about Cyclone Yasa in Fiji. Torrential rain and hurricane-force winds have destroyed scores of houses and flattened crops in Fiji after Category 5 Cyclone Yasa made a landfall over Bua province in northern island of Vanuatu. Drone footage taken over Fiji showed damaged buildings and partially flooded fields after torrential rains and winds blew up to 285 kilometers per hour. The adverse weather has hampered the efforts by aid groups to dispatch assistance, as waves of more than 3 meters have prevented ships from leaving Suva. Authorities also remain concerned about heavy rains brought by Cyclone Yasa through the storm, though the storm has weakened for the moment in strength and is now just a Category 2 storm as it moves south across the island chain. But it leaves a massive trail of destruction that you can see on your television screens. And talking about cricket, India took a handy 62-run lead in the second innings after blowing out Australia for 191 for the second day of the first test in Adelaide. In due course, they lost opener Prithvi Shaw minutes ahead of the day's play. The visitors were 9 for 1 in the second innings when stumps were drawn. Ravichandran Ashwin accounted for 4 wickets. Umesh Yadav took 3 wickets while Jasprit Bumrah claimed 2 dismissals. Earlier, India were bowled out for 244, losing 4 wickets in 23 minutes with just 11 runs added to the overnight total. Mitchell Starc and Pat Cummins accounted for 4 and 3 wickets respectively. Josh Hazlewood and Nathan Lyon registered 1 dismissal apiece. And that's it then in News Night for tonight. Thanks for watching. Namaskar.